go with that.
Here with Padres first rounder Robbie Snelling, and actually the Just Baseball minor league pitcher of the year this past year. Congratulations on such an awesome season, man. It was amazing to just see you do your thing and climb up so many levels and keep dominating.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Kind of crazy way to get thrown into pro ball, but I was super happy with the turnout of it. So
you're a guy that, I think it used to be a little bit more underrated. Now I'm seeing people talk about it more. Now that you've become more in the spotlight, and people probably Google you a little bit more on.
Right.
Heck of a football player too. You had plenty of Power 5 offers as a linebacker.
Yeah.
How much of a decision was that for you? Obviously, once you find out you can get first round money, it probably makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Was football really like a passion for you? And how much was there kind of a push and pull of potentially playing college football and baseball?
Yeah, I mean, football was definitely, I'm confident in saying this, that football was my first love that I had in the sport. So, and I mean, and that's just because it ran in the family.
Yeah.
So dad and uncle played college football. My uncle played in the NFL. And then grandparents played football, coached football. My dad was a high school coach for 24 years, and my uncle coaches college football now. So it's like, it was really, really deeply rooted in the family. So, I mean, growing up around the football field, at the high school field where my dad coached, that was just, that was my second home. So, fell in love with it and, played football all my life, but played tackle football from, fourth grade until my senior year of high school. And, I mean, I was always dividing my time between football and baseball because it was really the two sports that kind of separated themselves from anything else. But I mean, yeah, the decision was tough. It all came down to really, like you said, first round money. It's hard to turn that down, and all the uncertainties that you have. If I did go to college and played football, like you can't guarantee that you're not going to get hurt. So, while the money's there, you got to take it when the price is right.
And also the opportunity where you go into pro ball, focus on baseball, and not only do you handle a ridiculous, 124 innings?
I think it ended at 103 regular season. I threw probably another 6 in the playoffs. So yeah.
I mean, just in the first year of pro ball, like you don't see that too much.
Yeah.
At a high school guys, and especially with the way you were climbing levels and just continuing to dominate. Did you feel like just being able to focus on baseball, not have the wear and tear of another sport, especially football being a linebacker, like do you think that allowed you to handle a pretty aggressive workload and also make such a seamless transition into professional baseball?
I do. I think that, I mean, football instilled a lot of things in me, not just physical, but like the mental side of the game, of just like being able to deal with things when they aren't going your way, and kind of like the mental toughness side of the game. That really taught me a lot. So I think that helped me on the mound as well. But I mean, like you said, getting into baseball and just specifically focusing on baseball, I knew for myself and like my mentality and my work ethic and how I went about things, and especially being in a professional organization, that I knew that I was going to take off. Like once I got into pro ball and only focused on baseball, because I knew the potential of what I had if I could just focus on one sport. I had just never made that decision before. I didn't want to make that decision in high school. I wanted to play them both for as long as I could. And so, once I got into pro ball and focused on baseball, I think that, last year was a great representation of what I can do just with that being my first season focusing on baseball.
What do you think it was that, made the command so advanced for you right away? I mean, both secondaries and then filling it up with the fastball too. Is it the athleticism, that you see from the football field too, being able to repeat your mechanics so well, or have you just always been a guy that's been able to fill it up pretty well?
I mean, that was a big emphasis. Like when I was getting coached, when I was by my pitching coach back home, was just like, the velo is going to come later. You don't need to, work on throwing 90 miles an hour right now. Strikes are what's going to get guys out. Hitters get themselves out more than pitchers get them out by trying to get them out. So, just that was a huge emphasis, was just putting the ball over the plate and trusting your stuff, and the velo is going to come later, and it did come later. And, that's when you really mesh them together and things kind of take off. So, and also like with the secondaries, that was something that I worked on a lot. Once I got to pro ball too, was just being like, all right, you got a good fastball that's in the zone. Hitters are going to eventually catch up to that. So you got to learn how to throw both your secondaries in the zone, become a pitcher instead of a guy that just blows fastballs by people. So that was a big thing that I had to learn.
Makes sense. And when you have the success that you had right out of the gate, you're in an organization that, I mean, there's no secret. The Padres will push you up quick and show you're ready, which is great and really exciting. And with that happening, you know, a lot of buzz around you. You already had that as a first-round guy, but, you know, just seeing the excitement around you. And I think the way that, you know, now the hobby, collectibles, and people want to, like, what has it been like now seeing that buzz, whether it's from Padres fans or then now in the card collecting side, being a part of a signing like this with the likes and eBay, like that whole part's probably been pretty surreal for you too.
It's been pretty awesome. I mean, you know, it really kind of puts it in perspective for you, like being at the field and, you know, fans are allowed to come in and watch you practice during spring training. And it's like, you got all the people that are collecting cards and collecting signatures and autographs, and like the adults that are doing it, like you understand what they're doing it for. You know, some guys have different intentions. Other people, you know, just want to keep them and have it as a memento. But like my favorite thing is like the kids, like seeing the kid's face when it's just like they get a worn down ball, it's all beat up, and like you're looking at this ball because you're throwing bullpens with brand new baseballs all the time. Yeah, but they're holding it like, you know, it's probably a foul ball that they got earlier from that day that was sitting in the mud, and they're like, will you sign this? Because it's such a big deal for them to see guys that they aspire to be like at some point. And it kind of puts it in perspective for you. Like, how cool is it that people think you're so important that they want your autograph? So, and you never know when it's the last time that somebody's going to ask.
When was there a player that you had that moment with, maybe that you always wanted an autograph from or a card from when you were growing up?
So actually a pretty cool story. It wasn't that I like always wanted an autograph from him. When I was younger, we grew up a Giants fan family. Grandparents are from San Francisco, so that was just the team that we rooted for. And Hunter Pence was one of my favorite guys. And so we grew up in Reno, where AAA team for the Diamondbacks is the Aces. And Hunter Pence was making a rehab stint in where is it? River Cat, Sacramento. Yeah. And so they were up in Reno playing, and we went to the game. And I mean, I had watched Pence on the TV all the time when I was younger, and he came walking up on the foul line. All these people, probably like 4 rows deep, people, Giants gear, waving, trying to get him to sign things. He's got a baseball in his hand, and I'm just standing probably 15 rows up in the stands, and I'm just clapping and just like biggest smile on my face. And he looks up, points at me, and flips the ball up to me, and this guy comes over, snatches it in front of me. I'm probably 11 years old at the time. Guy snatches it from me, and Pence like yells at him. He's like, "Hey, get the ball back to him." And so the guy gave it to me. I like, it's little things like that. Like, he didn't have to tell the guy to give the ball back to me. He could have just kept walking and been like, "Oh, kid had a shot at it." But I mean, that was super cool. And then fast forward to my junior year, I was pitching in the Perfect Game All-American game. I mean, I didn't pitch very well, so it's kind of a sore subject for me. But he was announcing that game, and like, he didn't know that I was that kid from, you know, however 7 years later or earlier that he had flipped that ball to. But for me, and like my parents are listening to it, they're like, this is awesome. It's crazy how it comes full circle.
That is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
But another example though of like something that you can do that can potentially
be
like an impression of a kid for
yeah, because I still tell that story today. So it's like I'm hoping that eventually like a kid will remember that and be like, oh, one time Robbie flipped me a baseball, or one time he signed a baseball when like he was walking out of the stadium and he turned around and came back.
That's
like,
awesome.
It's cool things like that.
I love that, and someone's gonna be really happy to get your one of one.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you get like a personalized inscription in that for that side of things too. Like, how cool is it seeing some of these more like rare, like limited cards that, you know, people are just gonna be so excited to be able to get?
It's pretty awesome. I mean, like, this is my first time seeing like this set of cards, this version of cards. So I mean, signing these and you know, seeing the different art that can be done on these cards is pretty awesome.
Last one for you. Focus for 2024. Obviously, you know, you finished the year in AA, continued your success there. I'm sure you're hoping to debut and have a lot of goals, but is there something specific that you're hoping to continue to hone in on, whether it's with the Arsenal or just the way you're going about your business? Obviously, you had a really good year, so
yeah,
it's just probably trying to repeat that. But is there anything specific that you're trying to hone in on a little bit more in 24?
Yeah, I mean, really kind of a big thing for me that was in the works last year. I think I started throwing it a lot more once I got to AA because I really kind of needed to, but working on a changeup. Like, that was the big thing for me coming out of high school because I didn't throw it a lot, was does he have a third pitch, like a solidified above average third pitch. And so that was something I went into the offseason and I hammered. And I was just, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to come back in spring training. It'll be like trial runs against hitters and see how it's playing. And it's at a spot right now where I'm really happy with it. So really excited to be able to use that throughout this year, see, you know, the success or stuff that I need to work on with that. And then, like you said, just kind of trying to work it towards what I did last year and, you know, not living in the past, but, you know, remembering the things that I did well last year and building on those this next year. It's going to be, you know, a different level of baseball. Like you said, debuting, I'm really just like kind of being where my feet are. So wherever they send me after spring training, you know, I'm going to do my best to dominate and be the best that I can be at that level. So
I actually have one more for you.
Yeah. No, you're good.
You've thrown to a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get a lot of questions about it, but I got to ask you that. Like, he's 17 years old.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Ethan Salas, like, it's remarkable what he's been able to do.
Yeah.
So
I can't even imagine what I would be doing.
what is that like? I mean, obviously, you probably forget that he's 17 a lot of the time with the way that he goes about his business, but, like, there's got to be every once in a while where you're like, my gosh, you were born in 2006?
Yeah.
2006?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that whole experience been like? Because he truly is like a wonderkind. Like, you don't see guys that are 17 years old get to double A.
Right. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And I mean, like you said, you forget sometimes because he carries himself really well. His presence behind the plate doesn't seem like a 17-year-old at all. I mean, he's very polished for his age. A pretty neat story about him that I told while I was doing the card eBay thing. He and I, he was at every stop with me, low A, high A, and double A this last year. And it was my second start in double A. We're in Wichita, and he's catching. And we had a no-hitter, my outing, 5 innings, 6 innings, no-hitter. And it was a 17-year-old catching and a 19-year-old pitching. That was pretty cool. Like, teenagers kind of just dominating that game. And it's pretty crazy. Like, you know, kudos to his pitch calling that he was doing that night, and then, you know, it was pretty cool for me to be able to execute those pitches that he was calling.
It's funny. I'm asking you a question about, like, isn't it crazy how young this guy is, and you're 19 last year as well?
Yeah.
Like, it's wild, but it's also, I think, a testament to, one, the way that the Padres are able to identify talent.
Yeah.
And also, two, I feel like it's identify players who are able to be challenged. And
Yeah, I mean, it's rising to the occasion too. It's like, you know, you can move a guy up as fast as you want to, but, like, he's got to prove that he can stay there, and, you know, until he can, and if he doesn't, then you got to send him back down. But it's kind of like, it's like tossing something into the water and be like, is it going to float or is it going to sink? So figuring it out.
Well, you've been floating so far. I'm excited to see you keep doing that. Congratulations on all the success in 2023. And
Thank you.
I know there's a lot more on the way in 24.
Absolutely. Thank you.